Swimming in a sea of catastrophe, a resolution of one, digging up your love.
Hey everyone, Dr. K here. Today I am just going to do a basics on scenery and terrain making. I just want to cover, the different materials you can use, different adhesives, different basing material, what type of paint, that kind of stuff. This is kind of designed for the individual that might just be getting into the hobby, or maybe someone who's kind of messed with it and that they just don't know what exact materials that they should use. So let's get started with the types of scenery you can make. Of course, when making scenery, you can always go the Games Workshop route. They do have a wonderful line of terrain. I thoroughly enjoy painting it. I think it looks great on the battlefield. There's other companies out there that also do various terrain. I can't think of a company off the top of my head, but if you do a Google search, plenty will come up. So there's always the plastic route, and the plastic scenery, when complete, it looks, it looks like it fits the game. The the time period, the style, all that. It looks like it does fit the game because, well, it's specifically designed to. So your goal as a hobby maker, if you're making terrain for a fantasy battlefield, you want it to fit in. So so going ahead and using these kits, that's a wonderful way to get started. Another way you can do it is by using blue insulation, or insulation foam. This is actually just a piece that I've been working with, hence why it's so small. I'll show you a full sheet in a second, but you can pick this kind of stuff up at Lowe's, Home Depot. Heck, I got this from, this was left over from construction, and yeah, it looks nice torn and tattered, but it will still work for my purposes. Now, a full sheet looks something like this. This was actually given to me by a friend, and I don't know off the top of my head how much it cost. It's actually been a while because I have a stock of insulation foam. But look around, try and find the place with the best price. I think you can even get this kind of stuff online. I don't know how much it is to ship, but this is definitely could be a good way to go. Now, something else with this kind of foam to think about is if you're in need of a gaming table, it can provide a very beautiful gaming table. And these kind of things, they're not that difficult to make. It's it's just basic basing and dry brushing, and we'll go over this kind of stuff in another tutorial, but all it is, like I said, is just a piece of insulation foam. It works wonderfully. Now, while the blue foam is good for making natural formations, it might not be the best for making buildings. That's where using foam core or foam board works perfectly. You can get, I got this stuff at Hobby Lobby for I think it was $1.59 each. You can usually get them at office stores, hobby stores, like I think even Myers and Walmart. And when using this kind of stuff, it provides a very thin but yet very durable outside layer. So it really does make an ideal building if you don't want to go with one of Games Workshop models, or if you want to just make something completely unique and something that you came up with. Of course, you can always use other materials such as cardboard. Like I said, there's other lines of of miniature scenery that you can get. This right here, what is it? Tamiya. They make a lot of just pieces for 1/35th scale. While that is bigger than Games Workshop figures and most standard miniature gaming figures, like this brick set here, which is great for making ruins, like building ruins, actually works fairly well when paired up against a Games Workshop Mini. Works as a, just like a half of a wall, half of a ledge, gives you, partial cover, and that's really all you're looking for. So to kind of wrap it all up, foam core and foam board is really good for making buildings. Insulation foam, I recommend using that for making natural formations like hills or stone pillars. And the insulation foam is also really great for making your gaming boards as well. And then of course there's the Games Workshop model, Games Workshop buildings, which is a great way to get started. Next, we're going to go through, we'll do some basing. I recommend, if you ever do like any freestanding building that you want to really decorate, or if you want it to really be sturdy, always use hardboard to base your building on. Right here is a piece I've been working on. I'm just starting to work on, and it's all based on hardboard. Now, to attach your scenery to it, plastic scenery can be attached using your standard CA model glue. You can also use a hot glue gun, but we'll get into the adhesives for that kind of stuff later. So you always want to use the hardboard. I don't recommend using cardboard because that's very flimsy and you'll end up with a mess on your hands. It could tear in half, and you really don't want something that you worked so diligently on to end up ruined. So that's what you do when you base your scenery onto a stand. Now, for putting the basing on it, the basing is like seeing the grass. I'll show you an example. This right here is a graveyard I was working on, and you can see on the inside that there's some dirt, grass. I've got a tree, some tall grass on the side. That's what basing is. It adds a whole new dimension to your scenery, and it looks really nice. That would look really nice on a grass or a field gaming board. Of course, when doing that, if you're a purist, you might not want to use that on, say, a 40K board that is all grays and blacks. You might, or it might be distracting. Personally, I can't stand that. So back to the basing. The best thing to use when basing is, let me just pull it out here. This is very simple fine grained sand. You can usually get it in different grades. You can get it at different places. Anderson's, I know, has it. I don't know if that's just something local to Ohio. But like Anderson's, Home Depot, Lowe's again, your typical hardware store. Play Sandworks. You also might want to look at going to your hobby store and trying to find railroad sand and dirt and ballast. Because basically all you're looking for is something that you can glue onto your board and then spray paint over, dry brush, etc. You want it to look. You want it you want to paint it and to keep with the whole feeling of. I guess that's the best word. That might not be the best word, but you keep with the whole theme of the scenery. Because it's just having the sand on it, it's going to look a little awkward. You're going to want to add brighter colors to it, more natural, well, more colorful, vivid, I guess almost cartoonish. That might be the best word to use. So there's that for putting the first layer down. I personally really like Game Workshop's Static Grass. There is a method to using it, which will all be on another tutorial later on, or of course, go ahead, search YouTube. I'm sure there's plenty of tutorials out there. There is stuff, blended turf that you can get from hobby stores. This is Woodland Scenics. Woodland Scenics is actually a really good, I want to talk about them for a second. They're a really good model train scenery company, and you can get a lot of their stuff usually at the same places you get your minis at least in my experience. They have that blended turf that I was just showing you. They have gray ballast, which you could use that, as I was saying earlier, for your base ground before you spray paint it and paint it yourself. They have different tree kits, different hill kits. They have a bunch of stuff, and I highly recommend looking at their stuff and just really thinking, could this work for making some scenery or for your bases on your minis? The one thing you do want to watch out is they can be a little bit expensive. I usually get mine at Hobby Lobby when they're running a sale, 30-40% off, and it works just as good when it's not on sale. So that's essentially the basing.